Hello, this is Broyar, and welcome to a first impressions video for the brand new leader, Julius Caesar of Rome, coming out in the new leader pass for Civilization 6 they just announced. He is going to be a free-to-acquire leader that only requires you to link your 2K account, which most of you probably should have done by now just to get the Scout Cat, right? But we're going to get into this, and I'm going to tell you why I think he might not be all that great. Although if you do wait to the end of the video, I'll give you some tips and thoughts of why I might be wrong. Let's get into the video. All right, let's go ahead and watch this quick little minute and 40-second intro video from Civilization. Then we'll go ahead and go over why I think he might not be that great of a leader.
Julius Caesar leads Rome in Sid Meier's Civilization 6. As a military man, he cultivated the support of both the common people and his soldiers as a path to power against an established oligarchy. His rise marked the end of the Roman Republic and the beginnings of the Empire. Julius Caesar's unique leader ability is Vini Vidi Vici. He gains extra gold whenever you conquer a city for the first time, or additional gold when you clear a barbarian outpost. The gold amount granted for both becomes even greater after you research steel. Caesar's unique ability will combine well with Rome's established power in many ways. Take, for example, Rome's unique unit, the Legion, which replaces the swordsman and can build Rome's unique improvement, the Roman fort. Rome's unique district is the Bath, which provides extra housing and amenities. Make sure to build one in every city to help fuel the production of your army and defend against war weariness. Rome's unique ability, All Roads Lead to Rome, will help your army's unstoppable advance by building roads to newly conquered cities, as well as providing additional gold from trade routes. Julius Caesar wants to conquer every hex of the map, vanquishing both barbarians and opposing civilizations. Use the might of your legions early to build up a gold stockpile fit for an emperor, then use your riches to buy more units for your invading armies. Never fear the Ides of March again, with Julius Caesar free to all players.
All right, so there we go. The one cool thing about this is that he is free to all players. Just link your 2K account and you get Julius Caesar for free. I think that's totally awesome. I think anytime they come out with some sort of new pack or new DLC for, either Civ 6 or hopefully eventually Civ 7, that giving out something a little bit free every once in a while is always a good way to sow some goodwill with your fan base. All right, so here we are in game with Trajan of Rome. Obviously, if we don't have access to Julius Caesar yet, so we're gonna have to just take a look here. But I think one of the big reasons why I have an issue with Julius Caesar is not so much what his bonus gives you, it's more about what you're giving up. I just think Trajan might be a better leader. But again, I will give some tips here at the end of the video of a counterpoint to that. Let's put it that way. But overall, Rome itself is pretty good. Rome is pretty strong. I have played a game as Rome. You can definitely check that out on my channel, although that's from like 4 years ago. So there's probably a lot of new DLC and things like that, expansions that are not part of that. But Rome, which obviously Julius Caesar gets this as well. He gets all the roads to lead to Rome. They mentioned that in the video, where you get a trading post automatically in all your cities that you conquer or found. You also get a free free road to your cities if they're within trade route range of your capital. That whole all roads to Rome makes sense, right? And then you get extra gold for trade routes passing through trading posts. So Rome already has a lot of gold coming in. They're going to get extra gold coming in from the trade routes. Plus, you're going to have the roads laid down, which is really going to help your conquest no matter which leader you play as. Roads are obviously great for moving units around, things like that. We then have the Legion. Both of them get that for sure. Very strong swordman replacement. They can build a Roman fort. I personally am not a huge fan of the Roman fort just because I don't find myself building a lot of forts. Like the only 2 forts I ever build are the 2 to get the science boost from my military engineer. Other than that, I don't typically build forts. I'm more offensive, and if I have to be defensive, I don't feel like the forts add that much, but maybe that's just, I should just find a better way to use them. But to me, the building fort part of the Legion is not that big of a deal, but the Roman Legion itself is just, stronger than swordman. It's going to be a good unit. And then we get the Bath. The Bath is great because it gives you extra amenities on top of the housing that you already get. I don't tend to always build aqueducts in all my cities. I usually find other ways to get the housing, but getting the extra amenities incentivizes you to go ahead and build those baths, and extra amenities gives you more production, gives you more gold. We talked about that. Gives you more faith, gives you everything. Amenities are great to get when you can get them, especially when they come part of what you already got. And as you're doing conquest, sometimes amenities can be a challenge when you're doing conquest type stuff. So the big thing that you're giving up with Julius Caesar over Trajan is the additional city center building. It starts with a monument in the ancient era. I believe later on in the game, it just gives you whatever that something else later on, right? As you progress through the game, I think it does advance. I'm not 100% sure. Truth be told, I haven't really. It's been a while since I played them, but it starts with a monument. So we're just going to base this off the monument. We're going to ignore what else it could turn into later on and down the road. We're just going to base this off the monument itself. And the monument is, if we come in here and we look at it, now we can't look at it here. We're going to have to look at it into the Civilopedia because it's already got the monument in the city. The monument is a great first building to put down, right? Because not only does it give you the culture and the loyalty, which, is fine. It's nice. It's good to get a little bit of extra culture, especially for a domination game where you're probably not pushing a lot of culture generically. You're probably just going more down the science route. You're probably going to want a lot of culture in all the bases. But the big thing is culture helps push out your borders. And border pushing is very important. You want to get those high yield tiles into your cities as quickly as possible. So without monuments, that's a struggle. So with Julius Caesar, you're still going to have to build a monument or buy the monument and go from there. Now, if you were to buy the monument, that's 240 gold. So let's look at this for a second. I tend to have at least 5 to 6, sometimes up to 8 cities as my starting, like my personal build cities in most of my games, right? Well, those, let's say we did 6. 6 is a pretty good number. 6 cities is worth what? 1,440 gold, 1,440 gold worth of monuments that you get from Trajan. Julius Caesar, to get 1,440 gold in the early days of the game, I mean, that's what, 5 or 6 barbarian encampments, a couple cities, 2, 3 cities, something like that. Is that definitely doable? For sure, but it is not guaranteed. For one, for me, I don't know how many times in my games I'm trying to go take a barbarian encampment and some city-state or some other civilization snipes it before I can actually capture the barbarian, the thing itself. So it's not guaranteed that you're going to get those barbarian things. You might get lucky. You might get the 5 or 6. You might not get lucky. You might get 2, 3, something like that. So obviously that diminishes that value quite a bit. The city side of things, sure, you can definitely go take some cities, but you're going to have to build up quite a bit of a force to be able to go do that. Usually, you might be able to, especially on a daily game, you might be able to get 2, 3, maybe 4 cities before walls start coming up all over the place. And then you're going to have to kind of, build up again a little bit to get a stronger force. And you're putting a lot of investment into trying to take these cities to be able to get that gold. And the big thing about the gold is the earlier you get it, the more valuable it becomes. 200 gold on turn 5 is worth way more than 200 gold on turn 100, right? Now, granted, as you get, steel or whatever it was that you get that gives it up to 500 gold, that's great. I'm glad that they do eventually increase the yields that you gain. But I don't know about you. For me, by the time I get that far into the game, I'm making so much money from trade routes anyway, that an extra 500 gold is kind of like, okay, yay. Not that game changing. So take that into account as well. So I think, that's why I personally think Trajan is still the stronger leader. You're going to get a free 240 gold worth building in all of your cities as you're founding them out, putting them out there, right? Now, granted, it is only cities that you start with, not necessarily cities that you conquer. But again, I typically create 5 or 6 cities at the very least with most of my games anyway. And again, that's worth, like I said, 1,440 gold based on the current value. So, I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. I mean, am I wrong? I'm about to tell you why I think I might be wrong, but let me know what you guys think at this point in the video. Am I wrong about Julius Caesar not being that strong? Sure, you can rush out some stuff. You can get some stuff. You can buy some units. You can do whatever. Legions cost 440 gold. It's going to take you 2 cities worth and a little bit extra to be able to buy a legion with that gold that you're getting, or 4 barbarian encampments, something like that. Now, probably the better way to go about it is to buy warriors and then upgrade them to legions. I think that's a little bit cheaper overall. But I still think the culture is just better because you can still build the barbarians. It's nothing stopping you from building the other thing in either case. If I'm playing Julius Caesar, nothing stops me from building the monuments. And if I'm playing Trajan, nothing stopping me from buying or building the things that I would have bought anyway. They both can do both. It's just which one's more valuable. And I think long term, over the course of the entire game, the monument is just a little bit better. So here's why I might be wrong. Why might I be wrong? If I were to say Julius Caesar's bonus, instead of, let's get rid of the gold, let's pretend the gold thing does not exist. If Julius Caesar's bonus was start the game with 2 extra settlers, maybe even 3, but let's just say 2 extra settlers, I would actually think that's a pretty strong bonus. And I personally would put that bonus above Trajan because 2 extra cities at the beginning of the game can snowball into way more than however many thousands of gold that you get over the course of the game from conquering stuff. And it can also spin into way more, than which the bonus you would get from the monuments and things like that. 2 extra cities from the beginning of the game. So what am I talking about? Well, all you got to do to get a couple extra settlers is take a couple barbarian encampments. And let's see, I'm looking for my production. I'm selecting the city. Okay, talk a couple barbarian encampments, and then maybe a city or two, right? And that will say, let's say you take 4 barbarian encampments in 1 city. That's 600 gold. That's just about enough to get 2 settlers. Obviously, once you buy the first settler, the second one's more expensive. But let's just say we're pretty close, right? 4 barbarian encampments, which isn't super unreasonable. 1 city, 600 gold. Done. 2 extra settlers, and you can do that pretty early in the game. You can rush out just enough units to take a city, even if you don't mean to keep it, really early in the game. And I think 4 barbarian camps is pretty typical. 3 to 4, something like that is pretty typical, even with some other cities, city-states, and civilizations sniping those from you. So you're going to be able to get those 2 settlers out really, really quickly in the game, and then that helps you snowball into a lot more stuff. So I think it really matters what you're spending that extra gold that you're getting on, and how that's really setting you up for the long term of the game. The other thing about that is that some advice, I would say, so maybe this is a little bit of a tip. If you're going to go conquer cities, if you're playing as Julius Caesar and you want to go conquer some cities, don't conquer the city that's maybe necessarily closest to your capital or whatever, closest to where you're at. Don't even assume that you're going to be able to keep that city, because if you're going to be going for an early rush, you probably haven't built up enough of your empire to actually spread your loyalty far enough to keep those cities, quite frankly. So here's my advice. Find the city that's the weakest, take it, destroy it, maybe take another city if you have time, and then get out of Dodge. What you're going to do is not only you're going to weaken your opponent, but you're also going to make them build up another settler, which puts another city down. The thing with Julius Caesar is you only get benefits of the 200 gold for a city the first time you take a city. If you destroy the city and they put another city in the exact same spot, that's a completely different city. And you can then go take that one again and get another 200 gold. So that's a really, really probably sneaky way to maximize the amount of gold you're getting. Now, if you're in a position where you could hold on to the city, a city is always going to be worth more than destroying and get 200 gold, later again. So if you can hold on to the loyalty, absolutely keep the city. I'm not saying always go by default destroying all cities, but if it's just a little bit outside that range of loyalty where you can really feel like you're going to get a lot of pressure, just knock it down and come back later and maximize the amount of gold you're going to be able to get in a relatively short radius around your main empire. And I think that actually could be extremely beneficial. Same thing with barbarians. Now, if you can get control of the barbarian locations or like kind of where barbarians are, explore as much of the map as you can, and then make sure you don't see what the map is, because barbarians don't pop up where you can see. They only pop up in the fog of war. So explore as much as you can, and then retreat your units and leave some pockets of fog of war around, so that maybe you can get some barbarians to pop up in those places and be able to go take those. Now, again, not super guaranteed, but it could help you out getting a little bit extra gold, farming a few extra barbarian encampments along the way. So there you go. I think overall, Julius Caesar is not that great, but I also think there are some very key tips and tricks that could make him that much better if you want to play with him. I still prefer Trajan. But let me know, again, what you think in the comments below. Am I right about him being not that great? Am I right about some of these tips and tricks? Do you have other tips and tricks that makes him even better? And which one do you prefer, Trajan or Julius Caesar? But anyway, let's go ahead and end that there. But I do appreciate you guys watching. If you like this type of content and want to see more of it, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, consider becoming a channel member. Definitely leave some comments below, because I'm sure me calling him mid is probably going to elicit some comments. I might have done that on purpose. I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. And feel free to check out my previous Rome playthrough from 4 years ago. It's a bit old and I look quite a bit younger, quite frankly. But again, I do appreciate you guys watching. May God bless you, and I hope you join me again next time. Thank you and goodbye. I wanted to give a special shout out to the following channel members. Thank you so much for supporting the channel.